Okay. Hello everyone. Good morning to you. It's good to have you online once again this morning. You are welcome. I want to believe our night was fine and our families are also well. Okay, so we'll start right away as we have very limited time. So this is business psychology BAM 405, and as we start, we get to follow, we get to know uh, that which we are supposed to get for today. So once again, I welcome you. We've had two contact sections of this class, and we still have a lot to cover. But be that as it may, we'll still put in our best to see what we can achieve in the limited time that we have. We started the course, and as I often say, we might not have so much time for review and to go through all that we have done. All I will encourage you is to go back and read through the notes and do more extensive readings in our homes through the online platforms that are available, and you can use other mediums like Google to get more extensive knowledge. Check your prospectus, the latest prospectus, to see more of the course outline. So this morning we're going to be looking at conflict resolution or conflict management and negotiations. Conflict resolution or conflict management and negotiation. Conflict resolution and negotiation is a topic. I want to be looking at the different types of conflicts, how we can understand what conflict is, its consequences, how to manage it, how to understand negotiation and its processes. And I hope to really cover this course today so that next week, being either the last or second to the last class, we'll be able to look at something, then wrap it up and hope that, all goes well. So, first of all, let's look at a general understanding of what conflict is. Okay, because conflicts are things that sometimes we cannot avoid. Okay, and managing conflict and engaging in effective negotiation are very key, parameters in dealing with organizations' behavior and dealing with workers within any system. Now, of course, of course very minor conflict, and we could have larger or bigger kinds of conflict. So we're going to be looking at conflict. After that, we'll also look at negotiations. Okay, and we said negotiation is one of the most effective ways to decrease or to reduce conflict. Okay, which we are going to be examining. All right. So, what is a conflict? Let's start. What is a conflict? Basically, we define a conflict, or we define conflict as anything that disrupts the smooth flow of work. Anything that disrupts the smooth flow of work is called a conflict. Okay, and we are going to be working with people. You will not just work with machines or your computer. You're going to work with people, and you're going to relate to people in the workplace. And so that effective knowledge of how to relate to people, how to manage people, and deal with misunderstanding or conflict becomes very, very important. So conflict is a process that involves people disagreeing, and researchers have noted that conflict is like common cold. It's like cold, kata. You know what it is, but how to manage it becomes more challenging sometimes. So, what are the types of conflict we may have? We can have what is called an intrapersonal conflict. Intrapersonal, that is within. We have intrapersonal, interpersonal, and intergroup conflict. Now, intrapersonal, INTRA, then personal, intrapersonal. interpersonal conflict arises when within a person. So within you, within a staff, within an employee, you have intrapersonal conflict. For example, when you're uncertain about what you're supposed to do or about a particular task, okay, interpersonal conflict can arise because of different roles. When there's role conflict, you could have intrapersonal conflict. Role conflict, another type of interpersonal conflict, includes having two different job descriptions that seem mutually what exclusive. Okay, so this type of conflict can arise if you are the head of a team, but also you're the member of another team. Okay, another type of intrapersonal conflict is role ambiguity. Ambiguity means when something is not clear, when it's not certain, when you're not sure of how to go about it. Okay, so that is what we call role ambiguity. So perhaps you've been given the task uh, to carry out a responsibility and it's not sure, it's not cleared out. You could have agitations, or you're trying to figure it out and you'll be having issues within yourself. That is called an intrapersonal conflict. Okay, then we could also have, I'm sharing my screen. I want to believe you can see it very clearly. Okay, I can see that most of us can see the screen. Okay, so we could also have interpersonal conflict. Now, interpersonal conflict is among workers within the same corporation. Don't forget the first is what? Intra, within you, within yourself. Then inter, within workers in the same establishment. Okay, yes. For example, here's an example I have, that in the year 2006, the CEO of Airbus, okay, Airbus is a company that produces airplanes, okay, resigned because of he had conflict with his board of directors, okay, with the other leaders of the company. And it is said that many CEOs always have challenges and problems with their board of directors, okay. So it's very, very possible that you have conflict or disagreement among the leaders, okay. In a more simplistic form, you're having conflict between the class rep, and other students in the school, or other of the people that is leading, or in an organization within the leader, the boss, and others. So we call that interpersonal conflict. Okay, then we also have intergroup conflict. That's the third type of conflict. Intergroup conflict is conflict that takes place among different groups, two or more groups of people. These types of group may include different departments or divisions in a company. It can be an employee union or and management. It can be ASU and federal government, and all of that. Departments may conflict over budget, unions, and disagreement. So between two different groups, merging group together can lead to friction between those groups, especially if there are scarce resources to be divided. So when you have a group having a challenge or misunderstanding, Nigerian Labor Conference having an issue, for instance, with the federal government, those are all what we call intergroup conflict. Now, we're looking at conflict, and I think it's important to know or to ask the question: are conflicts bad? Is a conflict bad? Most people are uncomfortable with conflict, but is a conflict always bad? Could there be positive sides to conflict? Because in extreme cases, you could have conflict that could lead to misunderstanding, and as far as even violence, And so, can there be a positive side to conflict? And is a conflict always bad? Now, the truth is that within an organizational frame, we say sometimes that conflicts can be good. Why? Because conflict challenges us and helps us to see some other aspect that we might not see, an aspect that we are supposed to know and we do not know. So to understand how to get to a positive level of conflict, we need to understand its roots, consequences, and causes. The impact of too much or too little conflict can disrupt performance. If conflict is too low, then performance is low because there are no challenges, nobody is speaking out, everybody is just quiet, and just seem as if we are going with the flow. And if conflict, on the other hand, is too high, it can become a problem. Okay, so managing conflict, giving room for people to air their views, giving room for opinions, giving room for suggestions, giving room for healthy disagreement is very, very important. And when you do this, that workplace operates in an open-minded system, and because of that, people can feel free to disagree and also eventually come to an agreement. Okay, now we said personal conflicts such as personal attacks should be avoided, and they are never healthy because they can cause problems and they can cause problem and undermine performance within the workplace. Now, the worst cases of personal conflict can even go as far as bullying. Now, there's this Fortune 500 company in the world, Intel. Okay, there's of course an IT company also, and all of that. In fact, my computer system, my laptop is powered by Intel. Okay, Intel. So Intel Corporation, whenever new employees are brought into the company, one of the things that they do that they during their training process, they train them on what is called constructive confrontation. Okay, and in constructive confrontation, they are taught never to attack people as individuals or personalities. You are free to disagree with opinions. You are free to disagree with other factors, but you must back up your disagreement with facts and why. So don't spend so much time, being defensive, attacking people because you don't like them. No, no, no. The workplace is not a place where you bring in personal issues. It's a place where are for official reasons. And so you don't attack people, you focus on the facts, you focus on reason, you focus on logic, on why or why not, and not necessarily on emotions, even though we deal with emotions a lot. So conflicts in essence are not always bad if well handled, and a potential destructive force that could have been brought about by the conflict can be effectively managed and become useful for the growth and development of that particular place. Now, what are the causes and outcomes of conflict? There are many potential causes of conflict in the workplace. So there are 6 of them majorly, of course, not limited, but 6 things that can give birth to conflict. You can see from the screen, you can see the slide there that is showing us the 6 causes of conflict. Okay, so we have organizational structure, the structure, limited resources, task interdependence, we have incompatible goals, we have personal differences, and we also have what we call communication problems. So let us examine them one at a time very quickly. Our time is really far going fast. So the first among them is what is called organizational structure. Now, conflicts tend to take different from depending on the type of structure that has been set up. Different organizations, you can do that as your personal assignment. Go and study on organizational structure. So the way the organogram is set, the way reporting is set, the way who you report to, who you receive instruction from, the structure, the order, you go from step A to step B, you have a complaint, how you report. So the whole way that things are planned out to function in the organization can create problem. And so maybe a department has been created where one person has to report and has to pass through this person, and you have to pass through a department, maybe a procurement department, to buy something, and here's someone that doesn't like you or had a misunderstanding with you, and because of that is using that opportunity within that structure to get back at you and delaying what you have requested for. All this comes from organizational structure. Okay, so that can bring about conflict. They also have limited resources. Okay, resources such as time, money, equipment. Okay, and of course every unit or department or every place in the workplace wants to put in its best. And so so because of that, this scramble and for resources, everyone wants to get the best, and not only within, even with other organizations, could there can be challenges of trying to get what more resources, more customers, and all of that. How to improve the customer base to get the larger market share, and because of all of these things, it can bring about disagreements and conflict. When a group of employees have access to such resources while others do not, conflict may arise among or between such employees and management. The reason is what is called task interdependence, because no department, no individuals can work alone or in isolation. There has to be teamwork. Okay, and so because of that task interdependence, you will see those challenges. Okay, you see those challenges of one wanting to have to work together. For instance, uh, if you are tasked with creating an advertisement program, okay, product for your company, you have to be dependent on the team. For instance, you need a photographer or you need a videographer who will come and take it. You need visuals, you need a lightning effect. So you see that not only one person is responsible. Before all of these ones can come together to bring this thing, that task interdependence can become a challenge. Then incompatible goals, because everyone that works in the company has different goals. Okay, so conflict arises when two parties think their goals are mutually exclusive. In other words, I have my goals to achieve, you have your goals to achieve. We don't have anything to do to each other. No. Okay, so for example, a sales manager bonus may be tied to how many sales are made for the company. As a result, the individual might be tempted to offer, certain freebies or free stuffs. Okay, such as expedient delivery in order to make sale. In contrast, the transport manager compensation may be based on how much money the company saves on transit. So here, please listen to this example very well. We're talking about incompatible goals. Now, the sales manager knows that my reward from the company comes as a result of much sales. And so he wants a lot of things to be going out easily. He wants to sell, he will go send out a product sample, go and look at it. But here is the transport company or the transport department that are supposed to be in charge of logistics and are complaining because his own reward is based on the fact that let us save more money, let us conserve well, let us see how we can save money from a lot of cost of transportation. So these are conflicting goals, because while this one's finance is based on how much he sells and he has to go out, the transport company or department is based on how much they can conserve. So this incompatibility of goals can cause conflict between in the organization, because the transport wouldn't want them to be the company or the leadership to see them as being wasteful, or you're spending so much on movement and logistics and all of that. Okay, now the fifth one is what is called personal differences and interests. Okay, just like we have said, personal differences can occur among co-workers by understanding some fundamental differences, the way people think, the way people act. Okay, you can get to know their interest and manage conflict better. Then the last of it is what we call communication problem, when communication is not properly spelled out. What is to be done, how is it to be done, I thought, you said, I felt, and all those factors constitute communication problem. So what are the outcomes of conflict? Well, I'm trying to speed up so that we can finish this topic. What are the outcomes of conflict? Now, we could have both positive and negative outcome of conflict. Okay, as I said earlier on, conflict might not always be a bad thing. So you could have both positive and negative outcomes of conflict. Positive outcome include consideration of a broader ideas, because when conflict comes, you have different perspective. Okay, increased participation and creativity. You have clarification of individual views, that build learning. On the other hand, a negative impact could lead to increased stress, unhappiness among workers. Okay, you could have feelings of being defeated and demeaned, or being, not looked at with the right mind. Okay, the feeling of being, okay, I wasn't accepted, my ideas were not seen as very good, and all of those factors. Okay, so those are the positive and negative outcomes of conflict. Now let us look now. There are a number of ways to resolve conflict, because it's not just knowing that conflict exists, interpersonal, intrapersonal, the types of conflict. It's not just knowing that conflict could be positive or outcome, but the challenge that since conflict has nothing to do with if, it's not a matter of if will or if conflict will occur. It's really a matter of when conflict will occur, because definitely conflict will occur. So if it's a subject of time, when, how do we manage conflict effectively? What do we do when conflict arise? Okay, so there are a number of ways to manage conflict. Okay, just like we said that there are things that cause conflict, and you can change the structure, reorder the structure. You can reorder the structure. You can change, you can work on the team. Okay, you can work on the team, you can consider what is called the majority rule. Sometimes group conflict can be resolved when everybody is having the same goal. Group members take a vote, and the idea with the most vote is the one that gets what implemented. So you're a team of 8, or you're a team of 9 or 10, and it's okay, let us vote. We have several ideas, all are good, but we are not sure which one to start with or which one to take. Let us have a vote. Majority carries a vote. Whichever one wins, then we'll take it. So that's called the majority rule, more like quorum. Okay, so problem solving is common approach. So now you're handling conflict. We're looking at how to manage conflict, and we have looked at certain tidbits that can help us. We said re-examine the structure of how things operate. You can change the team. If the team is not getting along, having problems, challenging, misunderstanding, you can change the team. Then we said you can also consider what is called the majority rule, and solve the problem. So there are different styles. There are different styles in handling conflict, different styles in conflict resolution or conflict handling, and we're going to look at 5 styles majorly. Okay, 5 styles. The first conflict resolution system or style is what is called avoidance. Avoidance. The first conflict resolution system or style is called avoidance. Now, in the avoiding style is an uncooperative or unassertive method. People exhibiting this style seek to avoid conflict altogether by denying that it's there. So you want to avoid, you don't even want it to be there. And so but they are prone to postponing decision because if I take decision now, it will lead to crisis. People using this style may have language sort of like, I don't really care if this works out. I don't think there's any problem. They just try to avoid it, okay, by shoving it aside, by pushing it away as though it were not there. Conflict avoidance may be habitual to some people because of what is called their personality trait. They are general people who avoid trouble, okay, and so because of that, and so because of their personality trait of avoidance of problem, they also tend to avoid conflict. So the first system is avoidance. They go to not want to have any challenge or problem. Okay, so the next thing is accommodation. Now, the accommodating style is one that is cooperative and unassertive, unlike what the first style that is uncooperative. Okay, so we said in this style, the person gives into what other person wants. In other words, I accept what you want. Let us just have peace. This is what you want, no problem. Okay, so you give into the other person's goal. People who use this style may fear speaking up for themselves. They have timidity. So no, I won't stand by what I believe. I mean, they fear standing for what they believe because they don't want to be labeled as enemies. They don't want to be seen in a bad light. Okay, let's just do it your way since it's important to you. Let's just have peace. Like unlike the first, which is avoidance. No. They don't want the trouble. This one they will accept. Okay, they will accept the terms of the opposition just because they do not want conflict. Okay, so that is another style. You accommodate what the other person wants. The next style is compromise. Compromise has to do with sacrifice, and a sacrifice is what is more like looking for the middle ground. You will sacrifice, I will sacrifice. We want peace, we want to move on, we want progress, but everyone must be willing to do something. Okay, so it's a kind of middle ground in which individuals have some desire to express their own concern and get their way, but still respect the other person's goal. So I want to have my way, but I have to consider your opinion. So let us find a way that we can have more like a win-win situation and a lose-lose situation at the same time. I win, you win, I lose, you lose. We are not getting all that we want either. Then the next is what? Competition. In competition, people exhibiting the competing style want to reach their goal and get their solution adopted regardless of what others say or how they feel. Okay, they are in a way ruthless. They are more interested in getting the outcome as opposed to keeping the other party. Competition may lead to poor relationship with others because you can trample on others. You can decide to have problem with every other person with the goal to what? Reach your own goal. So that is a competitive way of what? Managing conflict. That is your own technique. You make sure that you get it at the expense of others, even if it's harmful to them. You do not care. Okay, and the next is what is called collaboration. This style is both assertive and cooperative. This style is used for achieving what is called the best form of conflict, even though in a way the style you use depends on the situation. Okay, so the objective is to find a win-win solution that everybody, will be happy with. uh, they will challenge each other, they will emphasize on problem solving and integration. Okay, so now the point is, after looking at this style, the question is which style is best. Earlier on we said the collaborative style is the best, but however, there are certain styles that depend on the situation. There are cases where what you need is avoidance of problem. For instance, imagine you are in a traffic and somebody is trying to run the red light and misbehave, and and you're trying to chase the person down. What are you doing now? In that kind of situation, that kind of confrontation might not be good. It's just better to avoid, because in a bid to try to manage or pursue or abuse, or to say what this person is doing wrong, why should he run the red light, or two wrongs making a right, you will see that you're not the only road user, and it can lead to many other problems. So in such cases, avoidance may be better. You're dealing with maybe a thief or an armed robber, avoidance it may be better. Such cases, there are cases where what you need to do is to confront. Okay, you need to sit down with the person. Certain times where organizationally speaking, competition might be best, because you have better product, better services, and you have something good to offer. So you might want to compete your way to resolving that issue. So that is all we need to going to be looking at under conflict resolution. I will quickly go to negotiations. Now, what is negotiation? It's a process by which two or more parties work towards an agreement. Two or more parties work towards an agreement. Okay, and there are five major phases of negotiation. Okay, five major pieces of negotiation. The first is what is called an investigation. You have to investigate. The second is called to determine your partner. We're going to look at what that means. Then you have to present your facts on whatever you have. Then the next one is bargaining. Then lastly is closure. So investigation, determine your partner, presentation, bargaining, and lastly closure. Now let's see how these five systems of negotiation work. We have just 13 minutes more. We'll have to run fast. Now the first system is what is called investigation. The first step in negotiation is investigation, or what is called information gathering. Now it's a key stage that some people ignore. But if you ignore this stage and just jump into negotiation, you might not get the required outcome. So and what do you do when you're investigating, when you're gathering information? You're answering questions like, what are your goals for negotiating? Why do you need to negotiate? What do you want to achieve? What do you want to concede? CONCED. In other words, what do you want to realize at the end of the day? What would you absolutely concede? During the negotiation, you will inevitably be faced with making choices. It's best to know what you want, so that in the heat. Okay, sorry, I beg your pardon. During the negotiation, you'll be inevitably be faced with making choices. It's best to know what you want. Okay, you'll be answering questions. What you value most. If you're negotiating for salary, why do you want an increase? Okay, and so first thing is investigation and information gathering. Okay. All right, sorry, I had a little audio. So we said the first thing is investigation or information gathering. The second thing is to determine what we call your BATNA. BATNA in capital letters is an acronym. Determine your BATNA. That's your BATNA. If you do not know where you're going, you might end up reaching somewhere. Imagine going to the park and they say, where you're going, where are you going? You say, well, I don't know, just put me in any vehicle. So you cannot do that. All right, so one important aspect of investigation is to determine your partner. Now the meaning of partner is best alternative to a negotiated agreement. Best alternative to a negotiated agreement. Best alternative to a negotiated agreement. You can write that down. It's an acronym. Best alternative to a negotiated agreement. Okay. So how do you determine your best alternative to a negotiated agreement? Okay, thinking through your partner. So having described, I'm going to be calling it partner from now. Okay, so your best alternative to a negotiated agreement. So thinking through your partner is important to helping you decide whether you can accept the offer you receive during negotiation. You need to know what your alternatives are. In other words, what can I go for? If they offer me this, am I going to accept? Or what? Or if they say they are not going to accept, what other offer can I bring on the table? So your partner will help you to reject an unfavorable deal. Okay, think about it in these ways. When you know your opponent is desperate for a deal, you can demand much more. All right. So if it looks like they have a lot of other options outside the negotiation, you'll be more likely to make what concession. So you have to prepare. You have to be on top of your game. You have to be ahead of the game by determining what your best alternative to a negotiated agreement will be. So look out for alternatives. Okay, if they might be offering me this, what if I don't want this? They might say this, what if I don't want that? Okay, what other alternatives? Imagine you wanted to go to further your education while you were in a working, and you're like, no, they will not agree. You can have other alternatives. Okay, I'm still going to be working. I'll work from home. I'll work online. I'm going to be doing an online partly part-time course. You are looking for alternatives to still, so that you can still retain your job, and you're negotiating your way through. So the next thing is to determine your partner after gathering information, okay, and investigation. The third is presentation phase. This is where you present your facts. The third is the negotiation. The third, which is presentation, is the negotiation phase. Now, in this phase, you assemble the information you've gathered, okay, in a way that supports your position. In a job hiring or salary negotiation situation, which is one of the questions I get a lot. People ask me, sir, what if you're in an interview and you're asked a question of how much should it be paid? How do you determine your payment, which is not a discussion for today. Okay, so in negotiation, in this phase, you assemble the information you have gathered in a way that supports your position. In a job hiring or salary negotiation situation, for instance, you can present facts to show that what you have contributed to the organization in the past. You say, I've done this, I've brought this innovation, I've done that, I've done this, and so I deserve more, and all of that. You have to present facts. You cannot just come and say, do this for me. No, it has to be based on fact and information that people can learn. Okay, that people can that who you're negotiating with, or your boss or your leader or the team you're negotiating, can understand and see evidences why you deserve whatever it is that you're asking for. Then the next stage is bargaining. During the bargaining phase, each party discusses their goals and seek agreement. Okay, it can be group, okay, like NLC and federal government went into a lot of negotiations before they came up with the 30,000 naira minimum wage. Okay, so at some point, there's a bargaining phase. You go up, I come down. What do you want? This is what I want. Why? This is what you want. These are my strong reasons. So the natural part of this process is making concessions, okay, which is giving up one thing to get something else. Making a concession is not a sign of weakness. No, parties expect to give up something, even some part of their goals. Rather, concession demonstrates cooperativeness and the willing to come to an agreement or conclusion. Making a concession shows forward movement and process, and it allays concerns about rigidity and close-mindedness. If you come with, if it's this or I don't get anything, if you're not giving me my request, I don't want any other thing except this, then you are not negotiating. You have come to state what you want. That is not negotiation. In negotiation, you listen, you give your reasons, you hear the other party and adjust in a way that you get to a decision that everyone can live with, except if what is being offered to you is way out of your league. Then definitely you know that you are not going to settle for that. And the last part is what is called closure. Closure is the conclusion, where you have an agreement that is documented, and then implementation carries on immediately after that. So closure is an important part of negotiation. At the close of negotiation, you and the other party have either come to an agreement or terms with what you have decided to do. Okay, you make your best offer, and that's what you can do. Uh, uh, and so not every negotiation might lead to, of course, what you want at the end of the day. But if it's a decision, an agreement that you're willing to accept and you're cool with, then you can reach an agreement and conclusion with your, you know, with your opposition or who you're negotiating with. So now there are different. I'm not going to dwell so much on this, but there are two major approaches to there are two major approaches to negotiation. The strategies can be distributive or integrative. Now, in the distributive view of negotiation is that fixed pie approach. In other words, the negotiators see the situation as, something that everybody must get a share, who must have, let's divide it. Each tries to get their own pie. Okay, I must get my own part, you must get your own part. For example, managers may compete over shares of budget, marketing gets 10%, and research and development maybe might need to get another 10%. Everyone, you want to get your own part of it. It's not as if I want everything, but everyone should get his own pie of. And an integrated approach, a newer, more creative approach, which is hello, okay. A newer, more creative approach to negotiation is called the integrative approach. It's called the integrative approach. In this approach, both parties look for ways to integrate their goals. Okay, both parties look for ways to integrate their goals. All right, and what do we mean by that? That is, they look for ways to expand. Yes, they look for ways to expand so that each party gets more. Okay, they look for ways to expand so that each of the parties gets more. Okay, and what do we mean by that? It's also, we call that more like a win-win approach. We want to bring everybody in. We want to carry everybody along. The first step of the integrative approach is to enter the negotiation from a cooperative rather than an adversarial stance. That means you approach it from the standpoint that let us cooperate, let us work together, let us look at it as a team, rather than let me get my own and go. Okay, let me get my own and go on that, which is what, like, the distributive approach. Everybody wants to get this part of it and go, but no, in the integrative approach, you want to bring everybody together. It's more like let everyone be cooperative. In other words, there's no selfishness. I don't see you as a point. Yes, it's not. You don't look at it. You don't look at your opponents as adversaries. Okay, you see them as you're working towards a goal. Together. So, what are the common mistakes people make when they negotiate? Okay, what are the common mistakes people make when they negotiate? When they fail to negotiate, failing to negotiate and accepting what is called the first offer. You might have heard that women typically make less money than men. Researchers have established that that 1/3 of the gender difference observed in the salaries of men and women can be tracked back to differences in certain salaries. So sometimes when somebody offer you something, just okay, no problem, I'm okay with it. That first offer is a mistake. You don't just take a first offer because somebody will want to test to see your response, and it says, okay, we'll be offering you 10% of the cost, and you just smile and say, all right, no problem. No. It's called it's a mistake when you accept the first offer. When somebody offers you something, you say, okay, thank you, I appreciate. What other options? Accepting first offer. Then letting your ego get in the way. Letting your ego get in the way. Letting your ego get in the way. In other words, your pride. I can't do this. I know what I have. Okay, so thinking about yourself is a mistake. We saw so people from the US, okay, tend to fail to fall in, okay, this can be a disadvantage during negotiations when you tend to believe you are better, you have the better advantage, you have more to offer, and so everybody must be at your beck and call. That can be a major issue. You do not accept and you do not approach negotiation in a way that makes you look proud, and no one can put your ego in the way. Another mistake people make when negotiating is having what is called an unrealistic expectation. An unrealistic expectation. What you're looking forward to something, and so readily the readily available example is you come for oh wow, my time is up. It's already 8:40. Thank you so much. We'll meet in the next class. Thank you. My time is up. Okay, have a great day. Thank you.